Hello, everyone. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And I am jumping on today for my much anticipated How to Market Yourself as a Creative workshop, where we will be going over how to best engage an audience of loyal supporters, as well as a creative. So this workshop is for writers, artists, musicians, dancers, crafters, and basically anyone else who wants to monetize their creative outlets, because I see way too many fertile minds go to waste from a lack of support from and visibility within their communities. So we are specifically going to talk about how to consistently engage your audiences in ways that are authentic to you today. All along the way, I will be encouraging you to not only take notes, but start drafting out your own marketing strategies to start trying this out after the workshop is over. I hope to give you actionable items that will create a solid foundation for future growth, as well as immediately boost your visibility. Also, all of this information and much more is discussed in my How to Market as a Creative workbook. So pick it up for yourself if you're looking for a comprehensive 54-page guide to give you actionable items that lay the foundation for future growth, as well as give you this immediate boost to your visibility that you're looking for. You can find all the details at this QR code or follow my link for the link tree. Also, please keep track of any questions that may pop up for you along the way. I'll be more than happy to answer them. So let's dive on in. Social media and marketing as a whole is the most common topic people ask me about, because it's typically something they see as unnecessarily convoluted and constantly changing. It can quickly become a never-ending game of trying to hack the system or fool the algorithm. And it is true that platforms can come and go. We've seen that very recently with the whole Threads. There's always a new shiny object available out there, and they frequently update their algorithms in a perpetual search for optimization. And it can leave many people feeling hopeless and confused, always behind the curve. People come to me all the time asking for the magic pill, the one tip or piece of advice that will solve all of their marketing problems. And yet they don't always really like my answer, because if I had to boil all of marketing down to one concept, it would be relationships over transactions. When I was starting my first business, my entrepreneurship career about 9 years ago, I didn't fully realize how important marketing was. I knew it was part of running a business, but I naively thought that if I just provided a great product or service and started to put my business out there, then customers would come. You know the phrase, build it and they will come? Yeah, that's what I thought would happen. But what I didn't realize was that there was a whole huge emotional aspect to engaging customers. People must grow to know, like, and trust you before they are willing to buy from you. And this requires an intentional and consistent focus on relationship building. This is because there are multitudes of options out there nowadays. So chances are you're not the only one who offers what you're offering. You're always going to have competitors. There are probably at least a dozen other businesses or creators out there who are offering the same, if not very similar, products and services that you do. So why would the potential customer choose you over everyone else? You might be the cheapest option, you might be the scientifically proven option, the longest lasting option, but at the end of the day, they're going to choose you over everyone else because they know, like, and trust you, not because your product or service has the best features. It's irrational, I know. You'd think that people would make rational decisions about what products or services provide them with the biggest benefits, but that's not how our brains work. People will go to great lengths to support and buy from the people that they know, like, and trust. We're human. We're evolutionarily wired for social connection, and our brains just prefer the people that align with and reflect our own worldviews, values, and goals. So how can you intentionally and strategically use that to create an audience of fans who want to buy from you? In one way or another, your marketing efforts should be focused on finding, developing, and nurturing your community of raving fans and supporters and inviting them into more personalized conversations in order to develop those long-lasting relationships that we want. So intentionally assembling a team of cheerleaders that want to support you is a tried and true way to jumpstart your launches. Whether you are launching a business, a book, or a song, there is tremendous power in collective action. You never want to launch to an empty room of crickets, hoping and praying that your message, products, and services reach into the void and somehow land in the hands of willing buyers. But you can easily avoid this by strategically building a community of loyal advocates ahead of time. So the method for achieving this will always be the same, genuine conversations, but there are 3 specific vehicles that I want to discuss here today. So number 1 is social media DMs, number 2 is networking, and number 3 is your email list. So starting with social media DMs, direct messaging is a form of marketing that can come off as icky and sleazy, but I want to encourage you to reach out to your followers in authentic ways. Whether on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, or Twitter, it is possible to initiate conversations with those that interact with your posts. Facebook and LinkedIn are likely the messaging platforms with which you are most familiar. It is very common for users to utilize those DM features, so it can be considered a cultural norm for those apps. For this reason, I recommend sending a DM to each person that friends you on Facebook or connects with you on LinkedIn. A simple introductory message will do, something along the lines of, "Thanks for following me. Let me know if you want to connect further." Ask them an icebreaker question and just see where this conversation takes you. My favorite is, read any good books lately? This opens up a chance for a deeper connection beyond the endless scroll of your news feeds. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten to know one of my followers on these platforms through DMs, and it has turned into a valuable long-term relationship. So I want you to pause for a moment so that you can brainstorm at least 3 different icebreaker questions that are relevant to your work as well as your audiences. So if you're a musician, you can ask, what music are you listening to? If you're a crafter, you can talk about, have you bought any really cool handmade items lately? If you're a designer and you're designing websites, for example, you can ask them, like, what's the last really memorable website you came across? You know, something to get the conversation going that is both relevant to your work as well as your audiences. So I'm going to pause for a few seconds to give you some time to think. And if the conversation flows, lean into it. If it's stilted and awkward, just gracefully let it go. You don't want to force someone to engage with you if they're just not feeling it. So that leads me directly into my next point, which is never, ever, 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 ever send a cold pitch. A cold pitch is an unsolicited sales pitch sent to a stranger with no prior contact, approval, or consent. This feels icky for both the sender and the receiver, and it instantly kills any chance of camaraderie between the two of you. Every single day, even today, I had it this morning, I receive cold pitch DMs from users that don't even take the time to read my profile. They often offer me services and products that have absolutely no relevance to my life or business, and it is unfortunately becoming more and more common. But by using this introductory DM method that I've detailed, you can actually decrease the amount of bots and spammers that follow you by filtering everyone through your DMs first. We're focusing on quality over quantity here. And doing so creates an audience of high quality followers that will be more likely to follow through with buying your products and services, your creative output. There are countless stories of social media influencers who try to launch a product or service to their millions of followers and fail spectacularly. Just because you have 1.3 million followers on Instagram does not mean you have 1.3 million potential customers. More than likely, the audience is full of bots and duplicate accounts. For example, in June 2022, the software SparkToro estimated that around 70% of Elon Musk's Twitter followers were bots. At the time, he had 87.9 million followers, and SparkToro estimated that nearly half of them were fake and or unreachable. This only underlines the importance of genuine connections on these platforms. If you focus primarily on relationships in your marketing efforts, you will get much farther than if you try to play the numbers games. Remember the first rule of marketing: relationships over transactions. So for Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Twitter, on the other hand, it is much less common to receive private messages from the accounts that you choose to follow. So I would not recommend using the DM feature unless you have a pre-established conversation going. Maybe they've commented on one of your posts and asked you a question. Maybe they indicated that they would be interested in buying your work. Maybe you met them at an in-person event. These are perfectly valid reasons to start a DM conversation with them on these platforms. Keep it short. Again, we're not cold pitching anyone. Give them context for why you're moving the conversation to DMs and wait for them to respond. They must indicate that they are comfortable with continuing with the conversation before you offer anything else. Just be polite, kind, and available. So moving on to number 2 with networking. This is something that tends to be a foreign concept to those of you outside of the business ownership and management space, but I would encourage you to broaden your understanding of what networking means. So networking, by definition, is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. This can literally happen anywhere. Professional events, workshops, in line at the grocery store, sporting events, meetups, conventions, Facebook groups, clubhouse rooms, parties, receptions, festivals, book clubs, funerals, weddings, baby showers, you name it. You can network anywhere people with similar interests convene, whether in person or online. These are wonderful opportunities to interact with those that could potentially align with your passions, values, dreams, challenges, and goals. If you are at the same event as someone else, there is a higher likelihood that you will have some sort of shared common ground compared to a stranger that you run into on the street. So I'm going to pause for a moment so that you can come up with at least 5 activities that you are already investing your time in that could also become networking opportunities for you. What communities are you visiting every week? What events are you going to? Are you going to certain businesses? Are you going to certain event spaces or locations where you can have this opportunity to network and interact and share these social contacts that makes networking so important? So I'm going to pause for a few seconds and give you some thinking time. This is a highly effective way to reach and connect with people who could very well become cheerleaders down the road. So start with your shared interests and then branch out from there. Invite them into another conversation later on and make sure to follow up. This is honestly the most important part: follow up. How many times have you received a stack of business cards, brochures, or handouts only to come home and put them in a pile where they quickly get forgotten? So always, always, always follow up. The contacts that I've checked in with multiple times often become part of my cheerleading squad because they've grown to know, like, and trust me on a deep level. Recently, I received a Facebook DM from a contact that I hadn't spoken to in over 2 years. I had even removed her from my customer relationship manager system because I mistakenly thought that she was no longer interested in hearing from me. But it turns out that she had been just keeping a casual eye on my Facebook posts the entire time. She said that she saw a recent post of mine and wanted to send a few of her connections my way. The follow-up communications that I had sent her throughout 2019 and 2020 were enough to establish the know, like, and trust factor between us. So much so that I stayed on her radar, even though we didn't speak at all in 2021 or 2022. Relationships take time. And the community that I've built along the way shows up for me when I need them. They're the reasons why my launches are successful, because they are excited for me and want to spread the word with me and for me. So number 3, with email lists, the first 2 vehicles lead directly into the third, emails. Once you have all of these wonderful conversations with folks in your DMs and at networking events, you want to offer them a way to stay up to date with what you're creating. I'm sure you've heard about the importance of email lists, especially as a creative. It is a marketing channel that can be even more valuable for you than your social media profiles, and this is because of 2 reasons. Number 1, you have control over your list, not a third-party algorithm. And number 2, the folks on your list opted into receiving more information from you. This does not apply if you add people to your lists without their permission. Something I highly recommend you avoid. I made that mistake early on in my entrepreneurship journey and pissed many people off. So ideally, you offered them an opportunity to join your list at some point, and they said yes. And this is an act of trust on their part that you won't turn around and abuse the privilege of having direct access to their email inboxes. And there are 4 methods that I use to build this list. Number 1 is networking. Number 2 is freebies. Number 3 is Facebook groups. And number 4 are registration pages. So again, with networking, when someone provides you with their contact information, you're going to follow up with them, right? So in this follow-up email, call, DM, or conversation, ask them if they'd like to join your email newsletter list too. You want to follow up a couple days after meeting them, no more than 5, and say something like, it was lovely meeting you. I would like to connect further. Would you want to sign up for my newsletter or schedule a one-to-one meeting with me? Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, sometimes they say yes, sometimes they decline. Whatever they end up replying, respect their answer and respond graciously. Not everyone is going to be a fit for you, and that is okay. This applies to networking, emails, DMs, or any other type of conversation. You are not going to apply to everyone, and they aren't all going to appeal to you either. So don't run yourself ragged trying to persuade, charm, or cajole them. Your time and effort is better spent focusing on those with whom you do have a genuine connection. So number 2, with freebies, this is the most common method for building your email list, and everyone has their favorite way to do it. The overall aim is to offer some sort of free content, resource, or gift that will entice folks to join your list. So this could be a checklist, a white paper, report, quiz, gift card, discount code, excerpt, video, short story, or ebook. Just pick a piece of content that your audience would find useful, educational, valuable, or exciting. So is your audience avid Starbucks drinkers? Offer them a gift card. Are they Star Trek fans? Send them a Trekkie fan fiction sort story. Do they love a good deal? Give them an exclusive discount. Would they rather hang out with their dogs than other humans? Create a quiz so that they can find out what dog breed they are most like. So let's take a moment so that you can come up with at least 3 options for enticing freebies that you could offer your audiences. Again, have it be relevant to your work and relevant to your audiences. So if you are a musician, maybe it's something music related. If you are a crafter, maybe you're talking about materials and processes and designs and stuff like that. You know, if you are a web designer, graphic designer, think about how you can offer them something for free that is also relevant to your work. So I'm going to pause for a few seconds to give you some thinking time. So moving on to number 3, Facebook groups. Setting up and hosting your own Facebook group is often recommended in the world of online marketing as a way to gather your audience in one place. However, I will include a caveat here. It takes a lot of work to run a successful group. You must be posting and managing your group nearly every single day, answering questions, offering information, and facilitating conversations. And it can quickly become a full-time job just by itself. If you do not have the patience or motivation to do these tasks, feel free to skip this. Furthermore, you do not have full control over the group because it is susceptible to the whims of the Facebook algorithm. You might very well lose access to your group for one reason or another, and then be confronted with the fact that you have no other way of contacting the members outside of the platform. The best way to not only avoid this, but use the group to its full potential is to ask members if they would like to join your email newsletter list too. When setting up the group, you are given the option to create mandatory membership questions that potential members have to fill out in order to be accepted into the group. An easy way to encourage email list signups is to include a membership question that asks if they would like to be opted in. Give them the opportunity to say yes or no, and then add them to your email list after they provide their information. This is also a perfect opportunity to engage them in a DM conversation. Once they join the group, send them a private DM to welcome them. Say, thanks for joining this group. We're happy to have you. What kind of content would you like to see here? This draws them in further and lets them know you care about them as an individual, not just another random group member. Plus, the feedback you receive from asking what kind of content they'd like to see is top tier market research. They will tell you what they want, and then you can deliver it without playing the guessing game. And finally, number 4, with registration pages, these can be used for anything from events and workshops to talks and podcasts to webinars and courses to waitlists, pre-sales, or pre-launches. You are basically asking people to register for something happening in the future. It is simply a web form that asks for their contact information and any other relevant information you might want or need, like payments or questionnaires. Always ask for permission. You want them to consent to joining your newsletter list as part of the registration process. We don't want to send them a bunch of emails that they didn't want because spam laws are really important nowadays. When I was creating my first planner, for example, I used this method to collect contact information for those in my audience who were interested in purchasing it. I sent them weekly updates along the way, letting them know where I was at in the process of creating it and asking for their feedback on certain features. And then once it was ready, I was able to launch the planner to a group of people who were already highly engaged and likely to buy. I also used this tactic when I was drafting my first journal. I wasn't sure what size it should be or what kinds of pages to include, like lined, bullet grid, or blank. So I simply asked my audiences for their opinion. People love giving feedback, and this is another form of market research that can go a long way. I created a survey asking them what size journals they preferred, what features they looked for, and how they used those journals in their daily lives. At the end of the survey form, I included a box where they could opt in to email updates as I created the journal. Similar to the planner, I sent them all weekly emails on the various steps of the process and was able to launch them to a warm list, meaning they had some level of pre-established interest in the product. What you choose to include in your email newsletters is entirely up to you. I generally recommend including updates and launches, relevant press features and interviews or reviews, and something personal. I like to include the books I read as well as the fun things that I did that week. Please refrain from the buy narrative. People are tired of being pitched to on a daily basis. Include a link to buy and an image of whatever you're selling at the end of the email, but also provide information that is interesting, educational, or entertaining. Something you found funny, inspiring, or even horrifying. These emails are all part of your branding presence and give your subscribers a chance to get to know you better. How can you convey your values, mission, and vision through these emails? Do not sell them a fake persona because they will feel duped and betrayed when it inevitably comes to light that you lied to them. As mentioned before, collective action is a powerful force and you do not want it turned against you. So your task after this workshop is to choose one of the conversation vehicles, DMs, networking, or email list, and start connecting with people who have the potential to turn into cheerleaders. You could start with people you already know and like, or you could go out and meet entirely new contacts. The point is to initiate a conversation and determine whether or not they would be interested in supporting your creative journey. If they are, get their contact information and start sending them bi-weekly or monthly updates as you progress towards your goals. Whenever you feel like you're spinning your wheels in your marketing efforts and not getting the traction you want, return to these methods and apply them. Genuine conversations will always have much more impact than spamming your social media feeds with sales posts. You will begin to see the trends, gathering data on which platforms, methods, or channels work best for you, your brand, and your audiences. Focus on those that give you the highest quality ROI or return on investment. And I'm not really just talking about financials here. I'm talking about the time, effort, emotion, and mental load that you put into your marketing. Is it a low cost, high return channel, medium cost, low return, high cost, medium return? If sending out social media DMs causes you to panic each time you do it, that's going to be a high cost channel because it's negatively affecting your emotional equilibrium. If you're spending hours creating videos and not seeing any engagement on them, that's a low return channel, and it's probably not worth your time to continue. Marketing is an ongoing experiment, and you have to be aware and flexible enough to pivot when faced with the data. It will streamline your time, money, and effort if you focus on the initiatives that give you high returns and drop those that don't. So remember that all of this information and much more is discussed in my How to Market as a Creative workbook. So pick it up for yourself if you're looking for a comprehensive 54-page guide to give you actionable items like these to lay the foundation for future growth, as well as give an immediate boost to your visibility. You can find the details at this QR code and follow the link for my link tree. So let's move on to Q&A now. Who has questions for me? Please comment them below and I'll make sure to answer them when I get a chance. Take care, everyone, and good luck.